Comment dire Suleiman? Ouais.
C'est quoi pour Spartan Sporting?
Un free runner down the hard to the
Allez, monsieur.
Lemon foot. Joseph Walcott, Charlton FC.
Dans la nappe. Dans la blasta.
Debate any issues that he had before the injury setback, and he was being managed. He suffered a knock, and the FA have sought to bring an update on his injury. They brought this update just a couple of hours ago and said that Majeed Ashimeru has made significant progress on his injury he sustained during the African Cup of Nations Group B game against Egypt on Thursday. The midfielder picked up a knock in the first half and was later substituted in the second half. He was thoroughly assessed and has been thoroughly assessed by the medical team after the game, with further checks carried out on Friday. The medical team is confident about the progress made and will continue to assess him Saturday afternoon before training. The Anderlecht player is in line for his third consecutive start for the Ghana Black Stars when they play that all-important crucial game versus Mozambique. And speaking of that game versus Mozambique, many are calling for Daniel Amartey to return to Ghana's starting 11. Yes, Amartey has been out for a while, and sellssi has been partnering Alexander Djiku. It has not been the best of first two games for Mohamed sellssi, but does that mean it means we should go back to Daniel Amartey, Big Dan as he is called? Well, I have my reservations on that, and I feel probably it's not the right time. I feel Amartey might still not be as sharp as we have known him to be in the past, but sellssi is not making things easier in terms of that, because he has been quite lethargic, and rightly so, following his return from injury. So it's going to be a very difficult decision for the coach to make. Here is a case: you have a player who has been consistent since joining us and has been good, and an injury setback has made it difficult for him to get back to his peak. And then you have to decide if you'd go back to the old partnership of a player who probably is not in the best possible shape. It's going to be a difficult decision, but let me know your thoughts on who should start. Should sellssi continue, or should Amartey come in for the Ghana Black Stars game versus Mozambique? Mozambique are ready. They also have a chance to qualify for the next round. That's a round of 16 if they are able to beat Ghana. And for those who are saying that it is all in Ghana's hands, and I'm wrong about saying it's not in our hands, I don't know why you are saying that, because if finishing third is probably the way that you can get through to the next round, how is it in your hands? Because they are going to choose 4 third best placed teams, and if Egypt should win versus Cape Verde, it would mean that us winning should depend on other groups having poor losers who finish third. And how does that, or how can you define that as having things in your hands? I don't know how many of you think of the having things in your hands scenario, but it doesn't look like it's in our hands. We have to do our job, of course, and win emphatically and convincingly, and hope for the best. Yes, it's in our hands because we have to do our part and win, but it's not in our hands when you look at it from the other angle, because results elsewhere have to go our way. And that is how things are currently for the Ghana Black Stars in their group. And Majeed Ashimeru, thankfully, is back from the knock he suffered, and he's being assessed still. They are hopeful, and this medical team, I have to say, have to be commended for their astute work, especially concerning a player like Kudus Mohammed. I had my doubts about Kudus playing for the Ghana Black Stars in this African Cup of Nations. They squashed those doubts. Expert medical team, the team that did their work poorly in 2021, probably had me thinking that would be the case once again. Kudos to the medical team, Dr. Prince Pambo and his team. They have done an amazing job, and they will have the best fit players for us to play in the African Cup of Nations final game versus Mozambique. And that is my update here for today. Majeed Ashimeru is still being assessed after he suffered a knock in the first half and was substituted in the second half, and we all know how things went downhill from there. And also talking about Daniel Amartey possibly starting ahead of Mohamed Salisu, considering the performances in the first 2 games by Salisu not being the best. But let me know what you think in the comments box. Let me know how you think, or who you think should be starting that game versus Mozambique. And your questions to Coach Chris Hughton. Tomorrow is a pre-match press conference. What questions do you have for the coach ahead of that all-important game we have versus Mozambique in the final group game, Ghana versus Mozambique? It will play at the Alassane Ouattara Sports Stadium, the Olympic Epimbe Stadium. It's very, very far from where we are based and where we've played our first 2 games. It'll be quite a travel. Hopefully, it will not be in vain. Shades of things that happened in Garua in 2022, it will not repeat itself. I'm quite confident we will go through and make it. Despite it not being fully in our hands, we need to do our part and win the 3 points. I'll see you guys in the next one. Questions for Coach Chris Hughton and thoughts on who should start. Should Amartey come in? Should Salisu continue? And should Majeed Ashimeru's injury be worse than we think or not be able to recover in time? Who should replace him in your opinion? I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great weekend. Enjoy yourselves. And it's going to be a fun AFCON.